Welcome to NFL Week 16 predictions. Last week I went 11 and 5, respectfully 11 and 5. My overall record is 150 to 73. So I'm hopefully finish the season with maybe less than 100 losses. So we'll probably I'll get to 90 losses, which I will be fine. What could go wrong? So this week is now the week we're going to have to talk about, are these teams good or they're not good. So let's go. We start off the earliest game of the week. Yes, I always do game of the week. So here it is. This is the game of the week. The Rams take on the Seahawks at 8:15 p.m. Eastern on Prime Video. Seattle is a 1.5-point favorites. The Seahawks are rocking in with their new NFL Nike rivalries jersey, which is going to be looking cool. But the last time we saw them, they were coming off a huge, not a huge win, but it was a kind of felt like a field goal winners for the Seahawks. They beat Old Man Rivers and the Colts. The Rams, on the other hand, they have clinched the spot for the playoffs, coming off a huge win against the Lions. This game has a lot on the line. The winner of this game could be the number one seed in the NFC. Now, who needs it the most? Now, being played in Seattle, it is the last home game for the Seahawks. Listen, last time I had this game as a game of the week for me, I had the Seahawks beating the Rams, and the Rams beat the Seahawks in Los Angeles. So, with that being said, I'm going to take the Rams over the Seahawks. I just think the Rams defense will be, again, they're going to create pressure against Sam Darnold and that offense. And I hope Puka and Jackson Smith-Njigba, they both have big-time games on prime time. Should be a great game. I'm going to go Rams winning it 26-24. They win by 2. Then we got some Saturday night football. We got the Philadelphia Eagles take on the Washington Commanders at 5 p.m. Eastern on Fox. Philadelphia is a 5.5-point favorite, a rematch of the NFC Championship game, and things were not going in the direction of last time these two teams met. NFC Championship game, by the way. So Washington made the decision. Jane Daniels not playing for the rest of the season, so Marcus Mariota will be starting for the rest of this year. And it's been a tough year, as I mentioned. I know they're coming off their first win since they snapped their 8-game losing streak, so a big time win for the Commanders. Now they get a home game against the Eagles, who had a shutout win over the Raiders. This game will be a little tight. I don't think Washington's offense will score points against that defense. Give me Philadelphia winning it by 4, 24-20. Green Bay Packers take on the Chicago Bears at 8:20 p.m. Eastern on Fox. Green Bay is a 3-point favorite. Now, unfortunately for the Packers, no Micah Parsons out for the year. So what will this defense look like for this week's game against the Bears, who come off a huge defensive performance to Shedeur Sanders and the Browns? These two teams will meet each other again after 2 weeks. If you go back to week 14, Green Bay won that game, and it was Jordan Love to Christian Watson. There was that offense was really good against that Bears defense. I think Green Bay does it again. I think right now it's Chicago favored by 1.5, but I do think Green Bay prevails. I think without Micah Parsons for the season, I just think that defense will step up for him. Give me the Packers winning it by 3, 23-20. Let's move on to Sunday. The Chargers take on the Dallas Cowboys at 1 p.m. Eastern on Fox. Dallas is a 1.5-point favorite after coming off a tough loss to the Vikings at home. And 1% chance to the playoffs. So if they lose this week, they are eliminated from playoff contention. They're going to take on the Chargers, who finally sweep the Kansas City Chiefs and eliminating them for playoff contention. So can they do it again against the Cowboys? You know what? They've been really competitive against the Eagles and against the Chargers. They got to finish the season strong, and next week will be huge. They got a huge home game next week against the Texans, so that offense needs to show up in this game. I like the Chargers. Chargers win by 4. Minnesota Vikings take on the New York Giants at 1 p.m. Eastern on Fox. Minnesota is a 1.5-point favorite. The Vikings coming off a clean style win against the Cowboys on the road. They got to go on the road again and take on the Giants, who their season's not going very well. They're still the number 1 pick of this upcoming draft. Give me Minnesota. Vikings win by 10. Cincinnati Bengals take on the Miami Dolphins at 1 p.m. Eastern on CBS. Cincinnati is a 1.5-point favorite. Let's boost that up to 7.5 after Miami, despite them eliminated from playoff contention, they broke the news today that Quinn Ewers will be the starter for this week and, of course, benching Tua Tagovailoa for the rest of the season, which is a big, I don't know what's wrong with Miami's QB situation. You go from 1-6, then you win 5 games since they started 1-6, and since that, things are not going very well right now. They're 1-2 since they've been winning very well. But now Quinn Ewers is going to make his NFL debut, which is going to be exciting. And this could be his game against the Bengals, who are also eliminated from playoff contention. And there is still concerns of Joe Burrow's future in Cincinnati. You know what? Give me Cincinnati. They need this win. Bengals win by 4. And then, an NFC South showdown. The winner of this game, maybe next week, would clinch the division with a win. You got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers take on the Carolina Panthers, 1 p.m. Eastern on Fox. Tampa is a 1.5-point favorite. This is the game I will be attended to at Bank of America Stadium. So if you are in Charlotte, Bank of America Stadium, you find me in the stadium. Give me some. If you want some photos, I can take some photos, signatures, whatever you want to do. But let's break this down. This could also be game of the week too. But here's what this could be on the line. Tampa both teams are coming off losses, by the way, and one of them would have had a chance to win this week to clinch the division. However, Carolina disappointed Panthers fans. They had a shot to win that game and beat Tampa this week to clinch the division. But Tampa also had the same thing. They just needed them to win, Carolina to lose last week, and then beat them this week to win the division. Makes sense? Makes sense. But here, this is where I'm looking at. Can the Panthers defense slow down that passing game against that Bucs wide receiving group? Now, I do think they're going to slow down the running game for the Bucs. They need to get after Baker Mayfield, but I do think their corners need to step up against Mike Evans, Emeka Egbuka, Chris Godwin, and Jaleel McLaughlin. And we'll see if Cade Otton returns. I do think he'll return. So with that being said, the Carolina Panthers, I want to pick the Panthers, but you know what? I'm going to take the Panthers. I think the Panthers, if they're going to win this game, this is going to be in the shoulders of Bryce Young offensively, but defensively, they've been giving these Panthers some wins, but I think this game will come down to, can Bryce Young make the biggest plays in the biggest divisional game in Panthers football history? I think that's going to happen. Give me the Panthers winning it by 1 point. Then, you got the New York Jets and the New Orleans Saints, 1 p.m. Eastern on CBS. New Orleans is a 3.5-point favorite. Yeah, Saints fans coming off a huge win against the Panthers, sweeping the Panthers. By the way, what a great job. Let's move on with that for Panthers fans. But for the Saints, there's an opportunity they could get to maybe 6 or 7 wins this year. Depends on how their schedule's going. Because I know they got the Jets, then they got the Titans, then their last game will be the Falcons. So there is a chance they could end up getting 7 wins or 6 win season under Kellen Moore. They're going to take on the Jets, who fired their defensive coordinator Steve Wilks. We're going to expect Aaron Glenn to call the defense, and their offense was trash. Trash. Give me the Saints winning it by 4. Buffalo Bills take on the Cleveland Browns at 1 p.m. Eastern on CBS. Buffalo is an 8.5-point favorites. The Bills coming off a huge comeback win against the Patriots on the road to keep their AFC East hopes alive to hopefully claim the division back. They're going to take on the Browns, who had a disappointed loss to the Bears. And yeah, their offense wasn't even good. Give me the Bills. Bills will dominate them. Bills win by 12. Kansas City Chiefs take on the Tennessee Titans at 1 p.m. Eastern on CBS. Kansas City is an 11.5-point favorite. So despite them eliminating playoff contention, Patrick Mahomes is out for the season, and now it's Gardner Minshew who's going to have to step up for this team for the rest of the year. And I just mentioned in the update, this year it's been not just a disaster, but it's been a really rough year for them. Now they go to Nashville, take on the Titans. They were this close, not this close to try to upset San Francisco. 2-12 record for them. Give me Kansas City bounce back. They'll win this for Mahomes, who is dealing with ACL injury. Give me the Chiefs winning it by 15. Then what could be a real good game. The Jaguars take on the Broncos at 4:05 p.m. Eastern on Fox. Denver is a 2.5-point favorites who are coming off a huge home win against the Green Bay Packers. 11 wins in a row. Now, can they claim the division? Now, they must win, and hopefully the Chargers lose. So, with the Chargers win against the Cowboys, as I predicted, they will not claim that division until next week. So, they're going to take on the Jaguars, who they got some other business. Their 10th win of the season, and they need to win this week to keep their first place in the AFC South. I don't see that happening. I think Denver is for real. Give me the Broncos winning it by 2. Atlanta Falcons take on the Arizona Cardinals at 4:05 p.m. Eastern on Fox. Arizona is a 1.5-point favorite. Of course, Arizona coming off a demolished loss to the Texans. And then you got the Falcons, who are soaring high with a huge win against the Bucks last Thursday. You know what? Give me the Falcons. The Falcons prevail. Falcons win by 4. All right, then the highest spread of the week. You got the Raiders and the Texans, 4:25 p.m. Eastern on CBS. Houston is a 12.5-point favorite. This is the highest spread of the week. Nothing to talk about the Raiders. They got shut out by the Eagles. Texans defense, number 1 defense in the league. And yeah, getting a dominant win against the Cardinals. So give me the Texans winning it by 25. Pittsburgh Steelers take on the Detroit Lions at 4:25 p.m. Eastern on CBS. Detroit is a 6.5-point favorite. This game is very important for both teams. Pittsburgh's trying to win this game to get another winning season from Mike Tomlin. And then you got the Lions, who they need to keep their playoff hopes alive if they're going to get into the wild card for this year. I think really importantly, we'll see if TJ Watt will play against the Steelers. Of course, the Steelers are coming off a big-time win against the Dolphins. And for the Lions, tough loss to Matthew Stafford and the Rams. I think the Lions coming back home, they're going to be fresh off this one. Give me the Lions winning it by 10. Then, Sunday Night Football, the flex Sunday Night Football. You got the New England Patriots take on the Baltimore Ravens at 8:20 p.m. Eastern on NBC. Baltimore is a 2.5-point favorite. The Ravens coming off a huge win or shutout win over the Bengals. Now they have a huge test against the Patriots, who their winning streak comes to an end. They cannot claim the division, unfortunately. Still have a chance, by the way. And Now we're seeing that narrow door maybe closing in. Maybe there's no division title coming back to Foxborough. You know what? Upset alert. Give me the Ravens. I think the Ravens will run the ball against that Patriots defense. I know they're the third. I think the third best defense at stopping the run. I just think Baltimore with Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson, they're gonna need this more. And I do think they will take first place in the AFC North. Give me the Ravens by 4. And then Sunday Night Football will be the good one. It's Mr. Relevant. San Francisco 49ers Brock Purdy versus Old Man Rivers and the Colts at 8:15 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. 49ers are 5.5-point favorites. 49ers trying to keep it in the race with the Rams and the Seahawks. While for the Colts, they're trying to pray that Phillip Rivers can get them back to that playoff spot. And this is a great home game for Phillip Rivers. Colts fans, not happening this week. Sorry, Colts fans. I don't think Rivers gets this win. Give me the 49ers by 6. That's it for my NFL Week 16 predictions. If you're not seeing my other videos, go check them out on my channel. Of course, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell for more sports news.